Welcome to the talk. So in California, it's morning.
Yes, well, it's about around 9:30 in the morning over here.
Yeah. Okay. Look at where are you from? Where are you based? I know where you're from, but where are you based?
So I actually I'll answer both questions. I'm Indian by birth, grew up in Africa, and then England, and then came to the United States, and I live in San Carlos, which is about 20 minutes south of, about 30 minutes south of San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah. Okay.
So Silicon Valley, basically.
Welcome, Annie. Welcome, Anne-Cécile, Nikki, Alejandra. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you for the talk again. And we're going to introduce the topic of today, which is a burning topic. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of data to introduce the topic. So I'm going to share with you.
In California.
Yeah. So welcome to everyone, and those who are new to the talk. Here are some of the previous topics that we have discussed in this forum. In this one about 30 to 40 minutes talk, we talked and discussed toxic management, managing cultural differences, ethical dilemmas, remote leadership, assertiveness, and today, cooling burnout. We discussed those topics because we feel they are not only important for you, but also topics that the Savoir-Relier methodology helps address, because we have developed this method that on certain managerial issues and company team development and personal development, we have focused on certain areas where we feel we can bring value and help. So burnout has been a very important topic of debate, of discussion, and of issue that we feel we can bring results to. We know that it's a syndrome that is touching on stress, that is not always well managed, and where individuals need to work both on their own self and on opening up to others. But there's also external causes, and management is definitely something important. So it's a combination of personal and collective work. So what we have found in the surveys and the research that we've done is that 76% of full-time workers do experience burnout, and that the signs have risen by 33% in 2020. Which is not so much of a surprise given the pandemic and all the context, the difficult context that we've been through. So it's interesting to keep in mind that burnout is an occupational phenomenon. It's not registered as a disease as such, but it is definitely a phenomenon that needs to be addressed. And there are signs that are seen in burnout, like disengagement, depersonalization, negative self-evaluation. But also on the job, well, someone just has his phone on, maybe. So reduced performance, emotional exhaustion, all those signals that are not necessarily diagnosed early enough. And what we want to work on with the Savoir-Relier and maybe discuss today is how to prevent burnout rather than come afterwards with a solution, because we feel and we know that in our work we have managed to bring some elements of knowledge and understanding that prevents burnout from happening. What companies do to try and fix burnout are for 30% paid family leave, flexible work option for 30%, and employee assistance, but it's very vague. And the factors, the top 5 factors of burnout that the Gallup perspective on employee burnout reports are: 1, unfair treatment at work; unmanageable workload; unclear communication from managers; lack of manager support; and unreasonable time pressure. So a lot of the burden is on management. And the question is, so what can management do to improve the situation? But also, what can you do individually? What can you do from within and work and find the resources and the support to address the issue on your own? So moving forward with the talk, the format of our sessions are always sharing. So the idea is for you to share with each other your experience, to open up and discuss with one another some experience and have shared feedback so you can learn from one another. And if we can bring a little bit more of insights based on our experience on the Savoir-Relier methodology, we'll jump in. But the floor is yours, and it's really an opportunity for you to open up and discuss, because our mindset is, as always, with Savoir-Relier, it's keeping your open mind, being genuine, generous, and generative, and sharing with one another in a benevolent and constructive way. So who wants to start sharing their experience? If you have experienced burnout, or if you want to share a story or personal experience, now is the time. Who's first?
I will be good. I can go first, Valerie.
Okay.
If you want, let me jump in here. I think it was very interesting what you were sharing, and I very the top 5 reasons of getting a burnout is actually what I experienced myself, and I can tick all the 5 boxes, and I find it very hard to say what can you do and what can the management do, because it's really how can I say this in a good way, is that it was so hard, and I felt very alone when I had the burnout in 2018, and I really felt my management, they knew what they were doing and they really were not there. And after I really looked at myself, like, what can you do? How can I change this? And first, I was too sick to think about it, but after I was thinking about it a lot more, and I really did not felt any support while I was addressing at some point that I was feeling overwhelmed, while actually they were not there for me throughout the whole period of my of me working there. So they knew what they were doing, and I heard via that the management told them that they failed on me. But I can tell you that they didn't do it differently, because someone else after me also experienced an overload of work, and was luckily she left on time, and she didn't get the full burnout. But I find it very hard to think, okay, what can you do personally if you are already so stressed out and you are not able to share it. I wasn't genuine, and actually I learned that in 2019. I did the course, and I really reflect on myself, and I realized, okay, it is okay to ask for help. It's okay to address that things aren't going well, and also to do that on time, that you can change yourself. But it's very hard when there's so much lack of management how to change it. And I really now I know a lot better what I can do, but at that time it was very hard. So I really hope that there will be some or that everyone will do the Savoir-Relier, and that all the management can really prevent burnouts, because it was the toughest thing I went through life, especially also with depression. So I really hope that to learn from all of you that can help to change the way that managers are behaving regarding this, because I fully agree with what you said, is that it's very it's a burnout is very personal. So if you have like leave, if you can leave for 3 weeks, it's not enough if you don't give the right support. You cannot go sit home for 3 weeks and it will be over. You really need support, and that's really what I hope that will happen in the future for everyone who still who doesn't have had a burnout to be able to prevent it.
Thank you.
From your experience, that's a very interesting testimony. From your experience, you explained the management support was the piece really lacking. You were alone, etc. Would your perception, and it's very much a perception, it's not an analysis, but your perception was that the management was kind of aware of what's going on, or he was not feeling incompetent or not equipped to do anything? How would you, read your management reaction to your situation?
Good question. Well, there was actually no reaction from the management when this was really happening. So it doesn't happen overnight. So it was actually going on for 4 years. But when someone asks if you are okay and you are crying, you are actually too far already. And they send me to a doctor, but it was a doctor for work, so that they only can do is to establish that you are sick, and then it's already too far. But before that, there wasn't really any support, and I recall myself saying a few times, "It's not going well." But it was super hard to do, very hard to do. But it was already too late. It was really already too late.
Right.
So, but I think it's also for a manager pretty hard to address if someone is feeling overwhelmed. But on the other hand, I also never had a one-to-one with my director, who was my manager. So I think if you have that moment, you can really tell how a person is doing, and it's really being there for them as well, to help them grow, to help them feel comfortable in the role, and to see how the work is going. And if everything, I'm sure you can tell when someone is not doing well. I had my intern, and I had another one in my team who was a bit like me, who was working very much and said yes to everything. So I could really see, okay, you really have to take a step back, and then you can do stuff in another way and really help them to let them ask questions, and to let them ask for help, and that really helps them as well. So it was really good to do it back. But it's if you really have a very toxic manager who doesn't have any empathy, I think it's really hard. And then the good thing is, if you are like strong and you are experienced and you know yourself, that's why I think the course is so good, that you get to know yourself. And the better you know yourself, and you know your boundaries, you know your worth, you're easier to address it, and also in earlier stage. And I think that is very important.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤. Who else wants to speak or react?
I would like just to react to what
𝐴nnemie.
Yeah. Yes.
sorry. I just wanted to react at what you were just saying about the fact that you should know yourself, and this is exactly what didn't happen for me, because actually we knew that I had a burnout after, like, I was completely exhausted, like I wasn't able even to go back to work. So what happened to me was a little bit different, because it was a new job for me. So also I was like trying to kind of show that I was capable of doing what they were asking me to do. But even for this, like, I felt like I was always screwed. Like every week I had a meeting with my manager telling me that I have done this the bad way. The week after, I always had that weekly meetings, and this was like a normal process for them. Like we were like very screwed at what we were doing, and they were always telling me that I was kind of negative when I was telling them that here I wasn't feeling good at that point, or for some reason. At a moment I had like personal issues, And I felt like they didn't understand what I was saying. Like I was telling them that I wasn't feeling good, and they were like, just listen to us, and it's gonna be okay. You're not doing it the right way, but you know you have a good potential, so just do what we are asking you to do. And it was like I was like telling them, no way, I can't. And they didn't understand what I was saying. They just thought, like, I had that feeling that they were thinking that I don't know, like if I was disengaged, or I really, now I'm talking to you and I still don't know what happened actually in their minds, because I really felt like I was talking to somebody who wasn't really understanding what I was saying. I was saying I don't feel good, and they were saying it's because you're not doing what we ask you to do. And so at a moment when I had a personal issue at that time, I was like really feeling bad. A good friend of mine died, so I decided to see a psychiatrist, but thinking that I was feeling bad only because of that death. But after, like, I had the appointment 1 week after the day, 1 week after, and in that week I also had a problem with my manager. And when I get to the psychiatrist, she just told me, but you are in a big depression for a very long time, and you didn't even notice it. And I was just telling her, no, I'm feeling good. It's okay. I just need some rest, but it's okay. And I finished and she told me no. She just gave me a sick leave for 2 weeks, because I wasn't ready to leave for more than 2 weeks. But after a week, she gave me medicines. And then I started realizing that I was, like, when I stopped working, it was at that time that I realized that, like, I wasn't even myself. Like, there was something really wrong. And 2 weeks after, she told me, no, you need more time. So I ended up stopping work for 9 months. And I decided to leave my job and to take another one, because I was like, really, I couldn't manage that kind of company and work in that kind of management, because they didn't want to understand. I have tried after I left. I think it was 8 months after, to talk with them and, like, make them understand. But they still didn't get it, so I decided just to leave, because it wasn't like I wasn't able, and I didn't want to stay there, because for my personal health, I think it was better for me to just to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you both, Annemiek and Amira, what you're putting on the table are the questions of awareness, and it's
completely.
when you're your nose on the wheel and you're in the job, in the moment, accumulating stress, and as you said, it's very often linked to the fact that you don't say no, that you're totally involved, you don't have the perception of what's going on. And what we have found that helps a lot is when you create the conditions for people at work to have interpersonal relationships where they're watchful of one another. So those signals that you don't see for yourself can be perceived by other members of your team, of people around you on the job, whether you're at work or you work remotely, actually, because I have in my, even in my teaching sometimes in a group, when you're doing quality work of interaction where people feel comfortable enough to open up and speak, or are just sharing, you can notice and detect those signals that appear without you knowing them. And when the atmosphere is such that people can share and are able to talk to one another and to say what they feel, just as a matter of perception, but not a question of judgment. And what you put on the table is very interesting, because very often what your managers will tell you, like, you are emotionally involved, and this is where you're talking about feeling, but your management tells you, oh no, you're not doing the right task, so you're not on the same level. And what they see is the performance or the task, and what you feel is emotional and everything that is inside. So you're on different registers, and you can't even communicate because you're not on the same level. So by creating the conditions where you can come back to the same level and address those questions with one another, be it your manager or colleagues or peers or people around you in your circles, be they in your teams or at home even, you see the signals from different perspectives. And when you start having this awareness early enough, our goal and what we try to do is to avoid going as far as having to see a psychiatrist or taking medicine, because that's where you've gone too far when you get to that stage. And we believe that there are many ways where you can anticipate enough and prepare enough and get people around you to support you enough for you to find the strength to take that step back early enough to see what's going on and to lack for resilience, to be back on track and find your own and make your decisions early enough, even if it's leaving your job, but leaving your job on your own and on your own will before you have to take a sick leave for 9 months. And that's what we work on and we feel is very strong. Anybody else wants to speak and share or react?
Hi, Valerie. This is Sherry. It's been a long time. How are you?
Nice to see you. Yes.
It's nice to see you. Thanks for the invitation. I was very enticed by this topic because I think for many of us, we've worked very hard in our careers for many, many years. We know that we must work hard and we put these kind of burdens on ourselves to perform, and we discount maybe the emotional kind of feelings that we're feeling. And I personally reached a point where, I was sort of in this sandwich generation. I had a sick mom. I had children. I had a full-time job. I had so much going on and had, tremendous responsibility in all of the areas of my life, and reached a point of, complete exhaustion. And sort of like what the others shared, I didn't realize the impact that it had on me physically, emotionally, and just kind of hit a wall when I realized, oh my goodness, this is actually a lot. And, the good news is that I recognized it and made a decision for myself that I needed to prioritize my own health and well-being at that point, and sort of then took a step back and took a break for 6 months, sort of gave myself permission to do that. And so what, folks are talking about in terms of knowing themselves enough to realize, wait a minute, this is not actually healthy. And let me then see what resources I have available. Now, at many jobs, you have maybe a human resources department where you could actually, if you don't feel comfortable talking with your manager right away, or you're trying to think about the strategy of how you might approach things, many have resources, whether it's like employee assistance programs, or you can go and find out kind of internally, okay, what are my options? I need to take some steps, or I need to talk with my manager and I'm not sure how to approach this conversation. Sometimes you have resources available or trusted colleagues that you can go to get some strategies in terms of how to deal with it. And then as managers, I do try to establish the fact that, we are complete human beings. This is not, our interactions are not exclusive to the work. We all have things going on in our lives. And so, creating those open lines of communication can be a form of support that folks don't feel alone. And as you say, create the conditions or an environment where people are open, feel willing to open up. And then oftentimes, if it's about a work distribution issue, then maybe we can then reallocate amongst the team, depending on what is going on with our lives. But we can't do that if the communication is not there, and to be able to share sort of the load rather than have one person feel as though they're completely sinking. And so I do think from a manager's perspective and from an employer's perspective, there's wonderful talent that sometimes we lose because we're not willing to look at the whole person and think through, okay, how can I best support? One day I may need that support, right? As even a manager. So then how do I create kind of the conditions within my team to ensure that folks have can identify, look, I'm in pain, and or hi, this is too much, so that we can solve it together and think of strategies that way, than have someone have to become ill or have to leave just to preserve preserve their health.
Thank you. This is so rich. Everything you say resonates with this necessary work that you have to do on yourself to be able to recognize the situation you're in, be able to ask for help, as 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤 was saying earlier, and also that you're on two sides of the cone. You can be the one that is suffering, but you can also be the one that's going to help others. And when we talk about creating the conditions to help an organization, a company, a team, at whatever level is necessary, is to allow individuals to feel comfortable enough that they can rely on others, that they can open up without feeling that they're going to be judged, that they're going to be put down, and they can thrive, and that things will turn around, because we all have cyclical lives. And another point in what you said that I feel is very important to keep in mind for everyone is that we are whole persons. And it's not like I'm someone at home and I'm someone at work, or I'm someone with my friends and I'm someone with my colleagues. We are the same person with the same heart, the same body. And even if we play different roles and we have different tasks, we are the same person. And it's that person that you need to work on, and to accept that you know your boundaries, you know your limitations, and you learn to and accept to open up, because there is this environment where it's going to be possible, and other people have done their due diligence as well. They've done their own work on themselves, so everyone is ready for this kind of sharing. And it's special, and very few companies have actually implemented an approach at a large scale, because what's difficult is to have everyone on board and have those values that are shared across the companies. But this is really where we're trying to push, so that a company is not just a one team or a small group of people, but that in the core processes that the company puts in place, and that's at that level that the conditions should be in place. So it could be in HR processes, but it could be at the operational level as well, by building that awareness among the decision makers, around the leaders in the company, to onboard this responsibility for the whole well-being. And that's another word that you mentioned that's so important. The well-being of your colleagues, employees, and yourself is absolutely critical if you want the company to thrive, because if you're not well, then you're not going to perform, and the company is going to suffer from it as well. So it's in everybody's interest to create those conditions. So thank you for your testimony. It's very, very rich. Anybody else wants to jump in?
Me?
Yep.
Okay, I would like to react to 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤 and 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤's experience story. So, of course, the management is to blame for whatever they have done, being unable to take care of the mental health of their employees. But we should also look at what the best we can do from our side to cope up with this so-called problem in everyone's working life. So burnout is basically like, we can relate a machine getting overheated, and if used for a longer period of time, and it requires cooling. So just like that, our depressed, overwhelmed, and depleted brain requires a break. So how can we achieve the break? We can achieve the break by giving ourselves time, at least out of 24 hours, 1 hour of time to ourselves. No social media, no friends, no family, just you. Okay, which we also commonly call as me time. And also we can adapt to other features like selecting our best hobbies, putting more time into entertainment. And if this problem goes on for a longer period of time, we can consult doctors, mental doctors, or friends, or parents, or near and dear ones. And as Charles Darwin said, it's just like the survival of the fittest. Same case is here. It's like the survival of the coolest and the smartest brain. The more you get prepared from your side to be the best, no matter what the management does, you will survive in a better way than others. You will actually struggle less. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for sharing, and very much to the point on the small steps. Give yourself could be 1 hour, could be even 5 minutes. Take a break, take a step back. We had this discussion on remote leadership, where it's so difficult to step away from meetings after meetings and using video conference all the time, and you get tired, but you're still involved, and you run out of energy at the end. But if you manage to save time, either by postponing one meeting so that you have a 15-minute break in between, rather than rushing into one meeting after the other, those are very small steps, but they can really help you in finding the right equilibrium, the right balance in your daily life and work day, and not just work, just in general. Yeah, definitely. We've had only ladies talk today. Can the men take the floor?
So, Supreet, how are you doing?
Yes, Supreet.
Maybe I can give you also a different perspective. So, you and I have known each other for goodness, I don't know, many, many years. I remember when your daughter came to Silicon Valley and I took her around. The interesting piece in Silicon Valley is we're doing this. So I lead a company, and what we've done is, so we've instituted no Zoom Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that because we started noticing, this whole concept of we becoming zombies. You're there, you're on camera, but the brain is not engaged anymore. You're just not available to have a discussion. And then when you say, what do you think, da 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 da, and the person is, out there, in scatterland. So we did no Zoom Wednesdays. We have no Zoom meetings on Wednesdays. We actually tell people, take the afternoon off, go do something that enriches you. It's in the middle of the week. It will help you bring balance. And like people said, mindfulness, meditation, ability to take care of yourself, your family. And sometimes we actually tell people, we pay for people in our company to have a babysitter come for 4 or 5 hours. And if they're alone, they go take time for themselves. If they're a couple, we actually even buy them dinner. Here, go have dinner with your husband, your wife, your significant other, your partner, and go enjoy. And for a moment, forget life.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with where we are right now with COVID and everything, the days are endless.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, even as weird as it was that we hate traffic, but traffic had a very important function because it's mindless. You're just going home, you listen to the radio, you're not doing things that are so engaging. And now there's no traffic. There's just one call after the other call after the other call. So we're watching that. The other thing is we created a buddy system. You have a buddy that watches out for you in the company and says, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Tell me what's happening. And then the buddies, we ask them, we have a meeting once a week, or actually once 2 weeks, where the buddies get together, they talk with each other, and they say, this person is saying this, that person is saying that, we need to help. Or when we had one, after a while, they said, we need a day off. So we said, okay, we'll take a Friday off. Everybody goes and does whatever. And what we did was, there was a Monday holiday. And then what I instituted was, okay, take Friday off also. So then it became a mini vacation. And we found the way people come back in, how energetic they are, how committed they are, completely changes the dialogue. Mm-hmm. And then we have this one thing I learned a long time from a professor of mine called Omar. He called it whammo. So everybody can do a whammo. Whammo stands for wait a minute, Omar. And it was to stop something because they didn't understand. Mm-hmm. But we also use it to stop something and say, I'm going to check out, and will my team help back up so that when I check back in, I'll be more effective. Mm-hmm. So we try to do some of these mechanisms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Supreet, and it's so nice to see you. It's been a long time since the MBA, and I have very fond memories of you being part of the group, and it's always a pleasure to hear new initiatives taking place in organizations like yours, and in facilitating ways of people interacting and respecting them. Respect is a very important word, and it's something that we definitely advocate in creating places and moments and settings where people can watch out for one another. So this buddy system is what, in our words, we call the duo, where people get with one another with a certain frame of conversation, where They engage in deep and open dialogue on sometimes difficult topics. It's also coming after you've done your own self-reflection, so it really is going very deep. And we also built those trustees where you have a support group of between 5 and 6 people where you can find someone in there that is going to help you, whatever your question or your point. A little bit like what I remember one testimony from the MBA of the fact that you've spent 16 months together, then there's always someone in the world that you can call on and that you will find support from. I think these support groups are absolutely essential, and it's what now we have developed within the Savoir-Relier, a systematic approach that we promote and that we facilitate in organizations so that it becomes a system. So it's part of the system and it's part of the way the organization functions. And the trustees can be also professional because they can work on a topic area or a business unit or a research team or a new project. And they can build their connections through that method in a very strong way and for a sustainable relationship moving forward. And the key word is really respect. It's not a question of getting along or being friends or whatnot, but it really is a question of accepting each other's perspective, differences, and learning from one another with that respect that allows you to grow no matter what. And that's what we found very rewarding. And talking about burnout, the topic of today, definitely trustees are a way to rely on one another with effectiveness, because that there's that pool of people that are out there to support you and help you move forward. So thank you very much, Supreet. It's a real pleasure to see you. Anybody else wants to take the floor?
Yeah, we're getting close to the end. So maybe a last testimonial, last sharing, and then we're going to end the session.
Anybody else wants to jump in? Maybe Chris or Gregory, or I see names out there. Andres, anyone? I say men's names because we've had more women than men talk today. It's not usual. But anyone, really?
I'll do it, but I'm not a man.
Annemiek, your connection is not very good.
Oh yes. Oh no, I was being quiet. It's a bit difficult like this. No, I wanted to react to Burnout, if I'm saying it correctly, is that that you were saying that like baby steps, that you take 10 minutes break and short walks and meditate and take time for yourself. And actually it's also the moment you get into your burnout, it really takes, for me, it took like 4 years or something to really be burnout and then have my depression afterwards. And it's not the baby steps that I took some time for myself, because I was always there for others and I never ever prioritized myself. And I was doing that for many years. So it was just baby steps backwards actually in that case. So it's not, I wasn't even thinking about that anymore. And then I was losing my hair. I was getting anxious in traffic and I couldn't stand up straight anymore. I was in a lot of pain, memory loss. And that's like one of the smallest, that is just a small amount of things that are happening to you, but it happens every day. It's just a little bit, and it gets worse and worse, but you accept it. You think, oh, I'm not doing so well, or I'm a bit stressed, or well, maybe it's my hormones. So you're neglecting it because you're not taking really good care of yourself and putting yourself first. So that's really a hard thing, to just not be able to do that, to do those things anymore, just to walk. And now I really take on long walks. I meditate. I really changed my lifestyle and trying to put myself first. I still find it hard, but that's what's really, really hard. And that's why I think it's very good to do that from a working place. What was your name? Let me see. Like Supreet was saying, that you take care of your employees by stop doing Zoom or just stand up desk, like all the small things to get some healthy habits into the company.
Yeah.
So I think that is very good. Yeah.
Thank you, Annemie. Thank you very much, everyone, for being so involved today. We know the topic is definitely burning, and we promise that we'll find other topics that suit you and that are important for you. And we will open doors for more discussions and forums. You know, we're working on many developments, new courses, new content, as well as a new site that's going to come out. So we're very, very happy to have you on board, and stay tuned. We'll have another The Talk every month, as always, second Friday of the month. But much more coming up in terms of courses, offerings on our new platform and new website, coming probably before the summer. Is that okay, Camila?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And till next month.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, and for your insights and your stories. Very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.